To take you to Boksburg. That's where the Secretary General of the ANC, I Mbalula, is giving a media briefing as the party prepares for its first NEC meeting after the elections. Let's listen in.
That we consolidate that power and we deepen the National Democratic Revolution. What is the National Democratic Revolution? It is redress, to continue that work within government and deliver for the people of South Africa. And that's what our government is going to do. You ask about NHI, you ask about Bella Bill. We want those things to happen and to happen as they've been signed into law. There are challenges. It wouldn't have stopped even if there was no GNU. DA and others wouldn't have stopped. And they are not going to stop. And stop being irritated by Zille every time he says he wants to see the ANC dead. That is his job. That is a job. And the DA, like all others who want to see the ANC gone, they say they eat the elephant piece by piece. But the elephant is not out, still standing. And the ANC will go down if it entertains the irritation and doesn't do what is right. And that is what is important for us. So GNU will speak in one voice in relation to government programs. There are protocols in government that ministers don't just pronounce policy and speak out of turn without processing matters. You can express your wish every day, but as long as it is not government policy, it will not be implemented. And that's what is important. This government is about redress. It's about a transformation. So the deputy minister espouses a position in relation to Israel. That is government position. There's nothing wrong with that. We know that Gauteng has got a position in terms of his patriotic alliance. He supports Israel. So it's not something new. So he's got to say, I'm not consulted about that, but the fundamental question is, what is government policy? Is that we are in solidarity with the Palestinian people and we recognize the Israeli state as an apartheid state. And we want this to stop. And that's what is important. And the fact that they won't see eye to eye in relation to the spot boycott, because Gauteng as a minister represents a position that defends Israel, is to be expected. Nothing has changed, and it will not have changed if ever Gauteng was not part of government. Anyway, he will continue to express his particular view. DA taking ANC to court over NHI, I've answered that question. They will. They are not going to stop in anything. The DA says they don't want deployment, and they practice it. And then they do all sorts of things. But they don't call it deployment, like us. So we're in court with them around those particular issues. So like I've explained before, and we're still explaining now, GNU is not a melting pot of political parties ceasing to be who they are and what they represent. The contradictions will be there, as they would have been, even within the broader situation of a government led by the ANC, wholly, overwhelmingly. Our majority has been affected. So we will not maneuver and do things like we used to do before. The opposition will try to get to us in whatever way they can to try their luck. But we know that we hold the sway in terms of as the largest party within the government of national unity. There's nothing that can happen without us in this government that we lead of national unity going forward. Kasi broadcast, Zuma has been expelled not by the SG but by the disciplinary committee of the ANC. The job of the SG in terms of the ANC constitution is to announce the decision. I announced the decision of Magashule, I've announced of Jacob Zuma. If he wants to appeal that, he can do it within 21 days. It's a decision. Not even this NEC will object or reject. They've got no locus standi. The matter is closed. Zuma is expelled. He's not a member of the ANC. As we speak, we have moved from suspension to expulsion, and we have followed every step in terms of guided by our constitution. If you want to challenge that, he can. If you want to appeal it, it's within his right. But he's not our member, and we're not going to repeat ourselves about it. It's done. He can lead what he leads at the present moment, which today, by the way, we are challenging it in court. It's our trademark. We'll challenge it till the end. We're in court appealing that decision, erroneous decision of that judge who even ran away from reading the judgment and gave it to the clerk of the court to read it, and so on. We're challenging that decision because in terms of the trademark law in this country, we've got grounds to challenge that, and we're going for it as we speak now in Durban. Helen Zille, not GNU, a grand coalition. He wanted a grand coalition. She wanted a grand coalition. She came and the DA to the negotiations that we must not talk to the EFF, we must not talk to Zuma party and all of these other people, PA and so on. We said no. We have signed a statement of intent with 10 political parties, including the DA. So what is she talking about? So we're not going to entertain Helen and what she is dreaming about and what she wants. We've got the responsibility ourselves and the DA to govern. And we will tell by actions and the work that we do who has actually won the hearts and minds of South Africans going forward. As the ANC, we are not interested in polemics. We are interested in governing the country and governing very well. We need stability for South Africa, and that's what is important. DA is part of the GNU, and we're moving forward nicely going forward. And that's what is important for us. Will MK, yes, MK war veterans are part of the ANC. They will be part of the Lekgotla. They are invited. They are still there. Also, they've got their issues that we need government to address. Those issues will be addressed here. That's what is important for us, to address the welfare of our former combatants. It's important so that we don't confuse issues. And we need to move in regard to that with speed. And then you asked the question about coalition with the ANC and all of that. We don't have a coalition, a grand coalition that is called the DA and the ANC in terms of definition. I think as journalists, you are educated. You know what is a grand coalition. So does this look like a grand coalition? It's not. A grand coalition is a coming together of one or two political parties to form government. That's not what has happened here. You've got more than one political party that has formed government. It is the ANC that is leading. It is the DA. It is the IFP. It is GOOD. It is the PA, of which we're talking about Gauteng now. It is the PAC in government. It is UDM in government. It's Al-Jama in government. What is that in political definition of models of government? Is that not a multi-party GNU? Is that an ANC-DA arrangement? There's no such. You can argue that the ANC leads and the DA has got the biggest share, but it is not a grand coalition. Okay? It is a GNU with elements of supply and confidence, minority government, right? There are political parties who have signed, like Rise Mzansi, the statement of intent and endorsed the GNU, but they are not in government. They said, we don't want to be in government. We want to be in the legislature. Songa Ezo is chairing Scopa there, chasing everyone who's in government to account. Very strategic position, tactical, that they've taken as a party. So you do have parties like that. UAT, once they didn't get anything, they left with their afro. So gone. So so they are gone. So you can be off tangent and argue what Helen is arguing and what he's saying, and I think it's a diversion, and we're not getting into that terrain. Somebody sent me what Helen Zille said. He's a leader of the DA. It can't be because he's part of the DA you expect Helen Zille to change overnight and mimic the ANC. She can't. We are not allies. We are not allies. DA will come in this government and want to undo all the progressive gains we have achieved in terms of the National Democratic Revolution. And we will not agree with them. We'll stop them. We don't agree with them when they say Bella Bill must not be signed, NHI must go out of the window, and then their perspective in terms of worker rights in relation to where we stand is horrible. It's not about progress and all of that, and transformation of this country. We are opposed to that, period. And then they will still take us to court like they used to in the previous administrations and all of that. So we are ready for that. Let's not argue about who outsmarted who, because it's not in the interest of the people of South Africa in terms of cabinet and all of that. That's not important, because once we go down that route, we are now changing from matured politics to competition. The fact of the matter is that political parties have come together, formed government, and then we are leading the country. There is stability. Political parties have committed themselves to foundational principles of this government of national unity. And what are those foundational principles? Is constitutional democracy and the rule of law. Is redress. Is economic growth and creating jobs for our people. And that's what we want, is deepening democracy in terms of non-racialism. And also fight for gender parity. And these are the things that South Africans want out of us, to ensure that we fight crime, government works with communities in the fight against crime, and so on. So that is what it's important for us, and so on. Ministers announcing matters of sixth administration. You have answered that question yourself, that they have indeed. You know, when you come into government, the first day, you announce the budget of the sixth administration, and then you are savvy in terms of communications and PR. You claim that is what Amilcar Cabral calls claiming easy victories and tell no lies. So we're not interested in that. The fact of the matter is that the only change, if it has to be effected, will come in terms of new APPs in the next cycle of government, MTPBS, which is coming now. And then what is going to go into that planning that government is going to get into. That is what will shape the thinking of the new ministers in the new administration. So you know how government works. You can't come into government today with your ideas and think you will implement them. It doesn't work like that. You implement the APP. Even if the ANC was out of power, all the things that will have been announced now in terms of the budget are of the sixth administration. So the seventh administration budget is still coming. So the ANC is still in power, and ANC leads in the GNU. Not that there will be no innovation and new ideas that are going to come. They are going to come in the ministries that other members of the GNU control and are part of in terms of government. Lizeka, signing of agreements, we are coming to that. We have not reached that stage. We are done now with government, legislatures, and all of that. I was having a discussion with Helen yesterday, and we're having a meeting again on Wednesday to discuss the national dialogue, also with all other political parties. This meeting of ours is also going to discuss national dialogue, ANC perspective. The national dialogue is about the coming together of South Africans There will be others who think that it is not important, they won't come to it and all of that. But South Africans have embraced this national dialogue, and which must be led by government and everybody coming to the party. And that is what is important. In this country, before some of you were born, we had what was called Conference for Democratic Future. It was held at Wits University. And then we discussed the Harare Declaration, and we also discussed the constitutional guidelines. I remember Azapo and others walking away from that discussion of the CDF. And then we had big arguments about the Harare Declaration, the constitutional guidelines, and so on. The ANC said, this is how we want South Africa to look like. And we put it there. And we're led there by the United Democratic Front. So it is something of that nature. But it was leading us to a South Africa we want and a government that is coming. Today, the national dialogue is about consolidating democracy, nation building, and working together for the interest of the people of South Africa. And what do we mean by that is what this national dialogue must actually unpack. Civil society organizations, Abafundisi, South African Council of Churches, they too support this. Former presidents, President Mbeki, different foundations have also pronounced on this. So government as the main sponsor must lead, but it's not a government baby. It is a civil society, South African thing that must be about how do we take South Africa and defend democracy going forward. So the national dialogue in that sense is actually coming. And then deadlock breaking mechanisms, we have agreed in the statement of intent how we will address those issues. And then we must then characterize what defines a deadlock and what are the issues. And then we said there must be a clearinghouse so that we don't talk past each other, but we are not the same. Normally when you are in a coalition or you are in a GNU like what we have, where do you bury your differences in order to ensure that there is stability and government does not cease to operate? For instance, if you take example of coalitions that we have in the metros, there is no clearinghouse there. If we differ, we go and work with others behind the back of others and topple the mayor with a vote of no confidence and have a new government. So for us, we need clarity on the issue of the agreements and also the clearinghouse in terms of when there are differences among us, how do we attend and address those particular issues going forward. So Lizeka, that is coming, is the next phase of our discussion as the political parties in the GNU going forward. After the Lekgotla, what do we plan to achieve? Okay, it's not after the Lekgotla. Why did we have? We were very clear that the first meeting and that took place was about the program of action of government and the statement of intent. And that's what the meeting did. President went to cabinet, OPA, opening of parliament. What did he do there? Was to affirm 6 priorities and then was to talk to the statement of intent, which in the context of the MTPBS in government will still meet. So that meeting of 2 days in itself was not even a Lekgotla, was the first bigger meeting of cabinet where government was looking at the statement of intent and the program of government. So that is going now to be implemented. So this meeting of the ANC is going to inform that Lekgotla of government in terms of the input going forward. But we're very happy, even in this Lekgotla, we'll get a report about what the first meeting have done, if the comrades executed the mandate. I can tell you, even before I get into discussion, they have done so with distinction, such that they've called, even those who claim that ANC is selling out, does Ramaphosa's statement look like, as a president of the country, look like a sellout statement. Don't judge the book by its cover, the content. Read. What does that statement say? It says, "A luta continua." The struggle continues. There is no retreat from that opening parliamentary address of the president. There is no retreat. So, insurrectionary phrase mongering, sell out, this and that, is just something that is uttered in vain. Slogans for those who have run out of ideas and they don't know what they actually stand for. Tina Siyakuba. There is no retreat. The struggle continues. And that is what the ANC is about. And that is what the importance of this meeting. So, Lizeka, I hope I've answered your question. ANC on Chidima. ANC stance. It is said that Chidima is a South African. She's born of the parents of South Africa, right? What? The mother?
Yes.
The mother is South African. Educate me. And the father?
He's a foreign national.
The father is a foreign national. Okay, we must apply our laws in relation to that. We must be guided by the law. She's a naturalized, or she was born here in South Africa with a Nigerian father and a mother from South Africa. She was born in our country. So what is our law saying in relation to that? So we must be guided by the law in relation to that. Let's not have a debate, unending debate around that particular issue. Because we will go off tangent and polarize South Africa and society at large. You know the issue of foreigners in our country, what it has done because of the criminal behavior of some foreigners in South Africa. So it's a sensitive issue, and it must be clarified, and so on. And we need to deal with that particular issue, guided by the laws of our own country. That is what is important. We must not be populist. We must be guided by the laws of South Africa and clarify the matter once and for all. It is very strange in this debate. You are asking us a question. The organizers of this are quiet. And then they've allowed this girl to go, to be out there and attacked and all of that. The organizers are not saying anything. Government, Schreiber, Home Affairs, he must clarify this issue. DA, Minister. The minister must clarify this particular issue so that you don't allow victimization. I've seen comparisons that have been made, Vanessa Carrera, Portuguese, and all of that, and so on. I've seen that in the public domain. So those issues need to be clarified. But this matter brings into sharp question about immigration laws, and at the same time, where does it place us? And is she entitled to participate? I think South Africans are more, Nigerians are forward. They are going to say we have a Miss South Africa in South Africa. I mean, we argue with them about Amapiano. They now say Amapiano is theirs. And when they came with a good genre, Afropop. Nigeria was leading us, hitting us nicely. We enjoyed, we're even dancing to this, Dibanj and them. And then when it came our turn, Amapiano, our Nigerians are claiming Amapiano. And then the economy, Nigeria is #1 economy in Africa. We overtake them, they keep quiet. So South Africa is #1 economy. So this competition that goes on between South Africa and Nigeria. So we need to clarify that issue.
All right, I Mbalula there speaking in Boksburg on a whole range of issues, including the controversy around Chidima Adetshina. She, of course, is a Miss South Africa finalist with a lot of contention around whether or not she should be eligible for the crown given her origins. Okay, much of that story and others in the day ahead. That's us for you on the agenda.